Hi everyone. So we now have a couple of brief talks from our platinum sponsor, Flipp. So first off, we should really thank Flipp, everybody in the room for making this event possible. Make a round of applause. Showing their dedication to the community, it's really impressive and it's much appreciated. It really wouldn't be possible without their sponsorship. They had a recent talk at Toronto Apache Spark. They showed off some pretty impressive technology. And Flipp's going to have three speakers. First, David Meyers, CTO and co-founder. And then, I'm not sure the order of Ashwin, Tumne, and Younes, Abouelnagah. David Meyers is going to talk about Flipp culture, a brief history of Flipp's business, our mission, and our culture.
Thanks, Robert. So before I start, I do want to give a shout out to Meyers. We talked about you guys doing a hackathon earlier this year, and here we are now. So really great job organizing this and putting things together. So a quick round of applause for Meyers and the rest of the organizers. So really want to set the stage for the two speakers after me. Really want to give you guys a context of Flipp, what we're about. So can I quickly just get a show of hands? Who has heard about Flipp? Okay, great. Who has used Flipp? Who uses it every week?
My wife counts.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, so I really just want to start off with a quick history. So founded in 2007, all UW grads from computer engineering. We actually have about nine people from our graduating class working at Flipp now. And we're based in Toronto. So some early inspiration for when we started Flipp back about 10 years ago. We were doing a lot of reading, but the two books that really stood out to us, first was Built to Last by Jim Collins, which is about these visionary companies that have gone through multiple generations of CEOs that have this really cult-like culture when you look at it from the outside in. And then the one in particular that stood out for us was HP. And the vision that Bill Hewlett and David Packard had for their company, and a lot of that inspired us to really start our own company. And a few of the things that really are important to us is we really want to be striving to be the best versions of ourselves, and for everybody in the company to be doing that. We want to have a high intensity, high trust team where everybody's there focusing on the problem, really hammering out the best solutions and attacking things very with a lot of veracity. We also want not just the work that we're doing, but to have actual catalyzing change in society, and also to build something that lasted beyond our lifetimes. Like if you look at a lot of the companies talked about and Built to Last, we actually work with a couple of them, Kroger and Procter & Gamble. Kroger's been around since 1883, and Procter has been around for quite a long time as well. So quick overview of what we do. So we started with flyers. Actually, even before that, we started a comparison shopping site, Deal Genius. Some of you may remember that. But we realized quickly that it's actually not a great business to be in because it's very detrimental to retailers. And we actually had some retailers cease and desist us that you shouldn't actually be sharing this content. So we started looking at flyers, and really at the core of what Flipp does is really bringing together all of the weekly shopping content. So we started with flyers. It's really all this highly curated content that people are really interested in reading, and we actually will seek out. It's different than any other form of advertising except for maybe Super Bowl ads. About 70% of people will actually use flyers. 30% of them will seek it out on a weekly basis to plan their shopping. The next thing that we got into is actually coupons. So about a year ago, we started expanding beyond flyers, and we realized that particularly in the United States, they're very coupon focused. You may have seen things like extreme couponing and shows like that. They're really nuts about coupons in the States, more so than they are here in Canada. So that's kind of the other common thing that people do during their weekly shopping. And the last one is shopping list. So these are really the three focal points of the Flipp app, and really bringing those together to help with planning your weekly shopping and really help people save money. But there's a lot more to this. Essentially what we're building is a marketplace. And it's really about, three parties plus Flipp in the middle. It's about retailers, connecting them with consumers. So Walmart being able to get the message of their story out to consumers on a weekly basis, but also manufacturers, CPGs, guys like Procter & Gamble that really want to be able to move product. And we're really at the core of that. We don't do any preferential treatment to any particular retailers. It's all about building a marketplace and the tools to facilitate that communication. So a quick overview of our reach. We reach about 50 million consumers on a weekly basis in North America. That's done through our Flipp app and our web version. We also host retailer sites like Walmart and Kroger. So we're excited for another round of Black Friday madness. It's always the busiest time of year, and Walmart's really proof of that. But we also have a distribution network, working with Google, Facebook, a lot of media partners to be able to broadcast the message out to as many people as possible. A little bit about our team. So we're about 280 team members, all located in Toronto, but a little over 100 in product and engineering. We've won a number of awards over the last couple of years, recognizing the culture and the work that we've done. We also closed a Series C round of funding with General Atlantic of $61 million. So at the core of this is really the mission that we're on, and it's all about helping families everywhere save money. I mean, there was a survey earlier this year that came out that talked about Americans, more than 50% of them have less than $1,000 in savings. And if we can help them save $50, $100 a week on groceries or any of their weekly shopping, it's very impactful. So everything that we do, tie it back to this, and really, it really drives us to make a lot of, put a lot of effort into it and to really drive things forward. So I want to talk a little bit about our culture and kind of what the success over the last 10 years, and we've grown from like 3 people to almost 300 people now. A really core part of that is our culture. And we've been refining how we articulate that over the years, and it really comes down to 6 things. So we have individual characteristics, which are the 3 H's, I'll get into those, and the team-based principles, ABCs. Individual characteristics that we look for anybody that we hire, they need to be humble. And it's really important that people that we hire are humble, that they show humility, that they know they're not perfect, that they're going to make mistakes, and there's always room for growth. Doesn't matter if you're top of the class in high school, you go to university and you're humbled by all the people that are around you. We're also looking for people who are hungry, that really want to grow themselves, grow other people around them, and really have work on things that are impactful. And we also look for people who are highly intelligent. And it's not just IQ, because you can be the smartest person, but if you have low emotional intelligence and can't work with people, you're not going to be able to work in a team-based environment, which is really at the core of what Flipp does. So the ABCs, always reinvent, be team first, and coach others. Always reinvent is about making sure that we're not satisfied with the status quo, that we're constantly looking at how we can do things better, having that entrepreneurial spirit to be able to go and make the changes that we need to make as we grow the business and as the marketplace changes. Be team first is all about working together as a team, making sure that there's high trust, that we're having really intense debates on the team to make sure that what it is that we're doing is the right things. And the last one is about coaching others. So Merdad mentioned earlier that one of the reasons why we wanted to invest in the hackathon is it's really one of our core principles. And coaching others is about not focusing on your own growth, but the growth of others. That's what's going to get you that multiplying effect. And it's not just within our individual teams, it's within the company at large, as well as the community and that we're involved in. So one key concept that we always come back to that helps us drive things forward and really focus on what we have a focus on achieving is a word called, it's homothumadon. I don't know how many of you have actually heard this before, but it's a Greek word and roughly translates to rush along in unison. And it's about having a team that is of one mind, one passion, one rage, that is focused on a goal and all working together, playing positions to achieve that. And a really good example of that is if anybody's done dragon boat racing before, going back to having really strong individuals, it doesn't matter in a team-based setting, because if those strong individuals aren't working together in unison, they don't know where it is that they're going, they're out of sync. So if you have people that are, super huge and ripped that are paddling, but they're all out of sync, or some guy at the back is just going to take a break and not paddle, he's dead weight, or even worse, sticking his paddle in the water or paddling against the team. If you have that type of stuff, you guys aren't actually going to be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And that's really core to what we do at Flipp. And with that, I'm going to hand things off to Ashwin, who's kind of leading the charge on the data side. He coined the term data thumadon, which is all about us, having one mind in terms of being able to use data to help drive decisions and improve our products. And I'll turn it over to him.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Dave. Continuing on, I'd like to talk about what it is about data that is reinventing the shopping experience, and I want to kind of highlight some of the points that Dave also mentioned, but as kind of the strengths of how we approach data and how we are redefining the shopping experience across North America. So when you think about shopping, especially in a digital ecosystem, you tend to think about futuristic technologies, mobile, big data, streaming data, things like that. But you really have to go to the behavior of shopping, and this behavior is ancient in the human experience. As human beings, we have all cultures and civilizations have been involved in some way, shape, or form of hunting and gathering, and this is innate in our biology. It's just in our modern times, this is how it manifests. And when you understand that, then you understand what are the real pain points that people have around shopping, and what are the pain points of those who are trying to provide fulfillment of wants and needs have in reaching those individuals. So this is the ecosystem that we span. We are very much in the space of helping consumers and retailers meet each other. And it involves how users plan their shopping, how they move and gather their wants and needs. And when you think about wants and needs, it's like, it's not about I want a stereo, I want this. It's like, can I feed my family? Will we save enough money? Like, these are real concerns, and these are real worries and anxieties. And if we can make an impact to take that weight off people's shoulders, that makes us absolutely fulfilled in what we do. So, how is Flipp really redefining shopping? So if you think about, the retailer and the consumer, they're involved in this kind of mating dance. They're orbiting around each other. And the retailer's like, I got these things for you, and the consumer's like, well, I don't know about that. Are your fruits fresh? Am I going to go to your store and get rotten vegetables? So there's this bit of like, and then, the consumer will ask, well, can you save me money? Can you save me time? If I go to your store, is it going to be busy? So there's this constant dance that's going around, and we are basically orbiting around these two spheres to basically make life easier on both sides. So in essence, as Dave mentioned, we are a marketplace. So you think about marketplaces, we are essentially no different than any of the kind of marketplaces you hear, like Amazon, eBay, either the e-commerce space or in the space like companies like Etsy. But we are very much focused on bringing retailer and brand content at scale and bringing it, using it to redefine the consumer shopping experience. And I think the best way to really explain about Flipp and data and what we do is probably actually give you an app demo. So I'll just escape from here and so let me make this bigger. There we go. So is this not showing up? All right, let me start this over. Let's see. All right, so there we go. So this is our Flipp app. Most people know us about our Flipp app. Of course, we do have a big distribution network that reaches 50 million people. But this is probably the best way to, if I pick someone like, Shoppers Drug Mart. I can click on their flyer. And a lot of people, browse. They do a lot of browsing, a lot of searching. And, if I'm clicking through, I can expand, I can contract. We can record all these data points. And we know that they're interested in what Shoppers has to offer. And they might click on certain items. So if they were to scan through here and we were to now start recording, this looks interesting. Makeup, pantyhose, these type of things. Now, what can I infer from that? Can I infer that this user has a high probability of possibly being female? Probably, right? But then if we notice that they are scanning and they start to do something like, they scroll into here. Okay, why are you scrolling into here? And then they click on diapers. Can I tell that that individual is now actually a parent? Well, maybe not just on diapers alone. Possibly that's a strong signal, but as we record more and more of these, and as we get stronger and stronger engagement of our users, we start to learn a lot more about them. And really the data is about learning about our users so we can serve them the best way. This is very much customer service focused. We want to help. And so the best way we can help is, well, let me ask you questions. Let me have you explore, let me learn about you, so then I know I can then navigate. As a company, we can navigate this world of shopping content, which can be very daunting, and funnel very relevant content that will serve your hopes and desires of what you're looking for on your week-to-week shopping. So describe some of the, we collect a lot of data, and it's not just through our app, but there's many other sources of data that we are able to collect. We can record search activity. So we can record a lot of shopping intent of things that you're interested in it. But because we are very geolocation focused, we are very hyper local. We can find individuals who are actually using our app within stores. And so the way this transforms the industry is that now retailers have closed loop reporting, and they understand who is actually reading our flyers, and are our flyers actually driving and advertising content driving individuals to stores, and from that we can now basically track, are they being fulfilled in their shopping wants and needs. We can certainly record flyer interactions. We do coupon clippings. One of the most exciting is the shopping list. Everybody has a shopping list. It's in the mind of most people, but a lot of people write it down on paper. My wife texts me like, when she knows I'm at a store, here, I need these things. Lists come in many forms, so let's include that in the app and now connect those to all kinds of shopping deals and content that are relevant to you, that make your life easier. But it goes beyond that. Loyalty cards. We are very big into loyalty cards, and we have deep integrations with a lot of retailers, especially in the US. Receipt scans and rebates are something that we are also actively engaged in and building out. We partner with a lot of news media sites. So you saw the CBS logo in Meyers talk. These are radio websites, these are newspaper websites, these are recipe websites. This is companies like AccuWeather, where we host our flyers on their websites, and we're able to record not just what they're interested here, but what they're interested here. This is the data that we have. We also are involved in a lot of public relations and outreach to our customers. We run, for instance, Twitter campaigns. We recently ran one called Flipp My Backyard, where we invited people to send videos of what you want to do with your backyard and have a little fun contest that Home Depot, I think it was, provided the winner with nice home renovation. But look at the profile information that we can understand. It's about really just knowing about our users and knowing what makes everyone's heart beat and helping them out. And of course things like seasonal effects, all these data sources. Now with all these data sources, what would you do to unlock this data? I mean, anyone have this idea? How would you unlock this data? Now our approach is we invest in people first. people before technology. This is the most powerful way to unlock our data potential. And so when we understood what what opportunities we were relying on, the first question is, how do we actually realize these opportunities? It quickly, based on our ABC culture, based on the fact that everyone here is at our company is highly intelligent, humble, and hungry, we invest in people as our first step. So we started initiatives right away. We just started initiatives, started an analytics club because there was a lot of testing and experimentation going around across the company, and we needed to now consolidate our knowledge. So this is a weekly happening that we started in our club. The data workshop, we started this because we realized there were individuals who are very comfortable with Excel but wanted to learn SQL. There were individuals who were very comfortable with SQL but weren't necessarily exposed to big data. And then, of course, a good number of us are into big data and we want to actually take it to the limit. So let's all learn from each other and let's hold these workshops. Younes has been running the data science book club. We understand what we're solving for now, but we also have a clear idea what the future holds. We want to do things like image recognition years from now. We want to do things like video analytics. We want to do things like geospatial search. So let's get prepared. Knowledge sharing. Our company meetings are intense. Centers of knowledge sharing, dissemination, debates, and form consensus around ideas. And always we invest in providing context and clarity. And a lot of it is by investing in people, but also media assets that help our team members grow as individuals and understand not just the technical aspects of what we need to do around data, but also why we need to do it. Why we, and connect it right to our mission. So once we started this, then the next place we invested is like, okay, let's organize around knowledge sharing. So this is, at a very, very high level, how much of our company is organized around data and analytics. We're a well-connected component here. The key is teams cannot be siloed. And so if you see the connection points, what we did was actually took our data engineers and data scientists and said, okay, you are actually going to be a squad, and you are going to be the connection between teams. And you are going to be part of all these different teams, whether they're business development, technology, accounts, on the retail side, or whether it's on the growth in media, all the Facebook campaigns we run, or the Google campaigns and things like that, as well as the technology at the platform level, as well as at the product and the content curation level. We are always moving desks around. We are always going to where the problem needs to be solved and organizing around how we share knowledge. So our data scientists and engineers are very much the connection points between these teams, and it's work magic. So after that, then you can start talking about technology and solutions, but it's really about the right solution for the right problem at the right time. So when we're starting a new initiative, being in the space that we are, it is a very competitive space. It is a very fast-moving, dynamic space. And so you want to be quick with your solution. So definitely time is of the essence. So the classic engineering trade-offs, yeah, we do it just like any other company, but really it's about understanding what do we need now to really launch the rocket, and then what do we need to do to take it high into orbit at a future date. So we do use all these technologies, and we get to pick and choose. We also have a culture of experimentation, constant experimentation, whether it's on the consumer side with media outreach campaigns, or whether it's on the retail side with proving to retailers why they should invest in Flipp, and we do it through data. If I had to ask, given that we are a marketplace, what is the most important foundation of a marketplace? Can anyone take a guess?
Customer base.
Pardon me?
Community.
Sorry, I didn't hear. Community. So, what binds that community together? It's trust. And it's retailers trusting in our marketplace, it's consumers trusting in our marketplace. Retailers and consumers, there is some level of trust sometimes, and there's some level of discord. We aim to build it on both sides, and we do it by building a culture of trust within our company and extend it outward to our retailers and partners on one side, and our consumers on the other side. And once you can do that, then you can go to town. You can explore exploit, and then examine. And now you can start to think about the technologies that we use, whether the database system, real-time streaming, or technologies. We are heavy users of Spark. That's why we're very interested in. We're happy to participate in this meetup. But really, you want to provide now. Then once you've invested in people, given the capabilities, the awareness, and the training, now open it up. So open up a data lake for exploring, and then eventually exploiting. And then once you built a product and you've got it out in the market, gather the feedback. And now we have you build infrastructure to do reporting and compliance and all those things that give you that feedback and learning. And in the end, it's about building data products that have impact, not just with our consumers, but with our retailers. This, for instance, is our retailer dashboard. They log in every day to see how are my flyers doing. And we find very effective ways to give them that visibility into Flipp, to generate that trust with us, but also to inform them of the inputs they need for their decision clarity. And basically, this is how we use data to move our world to a new reality. So with that, I pass it on to Younes.
Well, thanks, Meyers, and thanks, Ashwin, for such energetic talks. I'm so hyped to be working at Flipp, and I hope that some of you are as well. And now the question is, so what's the actual day-to-day work of a data scientist at Flipp is? Like people like myself, Chris, and Chris is another one, Jake and Sanjana, sorry, Jake, are doing it on a day-to-day basis. And that's hacking on data. So what's building a data product? It involves three things. It involves some data engineering, and we have, besides the data science engineers that we have infrastructure people as well who help us build those systems. And if you are able to use those systems like Spark, like all those things that Ashwin showed, you can pick and choose what to do with your data and choose your optimization target. And most importantly, after you do that, you have to track your experiments, and you have to have the discipline to actually do science and know what you did, what happened, what worked, what didn't work. And that is basically our day-to-day. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper, and I'm going to tell you about the data we work with, how we look at it, a little bit of highlights from some data products that we have built at Flipp. And the highlights are basically going to show you how sometimes in the industry the solutions are a little bit surprising. They're not the textbook solutions that you would expect. So the data space at Flipp is an ever-expanding universe. You don't have like fixed data sets that you download from a Kaggle competition or something, and you just keep working on them. It's always new data coming in, and it's always new opportunities. And we have a schema on read. So whenever we're reading data, we can read it programmatically. There is a blog post on the Flipp engineering blog about how we use Avro to get rid of any string literals in our code, because we love type safety. We are big on Scala and type safety. And even like splitting on a comma, that's a string literal. And things like that are pushed down to a library level, and we use then Scala macros to generate interfaces for us, everything in a type safe way. The important thing is to think about how this data is in constant motion. It's not like, even if it's a batch process, every day you get new data. And this data might be different from yesterday's data in terms of its schema and schema evolution, and also in terms of the statistical characteristics of it. So it's really interesting. And we also get external integrations all the time. So sometimes we just get a huge data dump from a retailer, and suddenly you have, wow, all this data to work with. It's so exciting. And the types of data are basically two types. And the separation here is for like functional purposes. There are entity data which are things that have a constant ID along their lifetime. And they're usually not very big in volume, but they are big in variety. So there are the three V's of big data: volume, variety, and something else, veracity. But so, so with entity data, you don't have a big volume, so you can probably load everything in memory, but you need to know how to interact, to deal with different types of entities. And for us, we store them in Solr. The second type of data is event data. And those are interactions between different entities. And those actually have very big volume, because as long as the website is up, as long as people are using the app, as long as people are reading news on our distribution networks, we will be getting events all the time. And this is where Avro and Scala macros are used to make those appear as interfaces to our Scala code, and we store them in HBase. And what allows us to use Solr and HBase together and build data products out of both very big different projects is that there is an RDD for both Solr RDD and HBase RDD in Apache Spark. And not only an RDD, the RDD is the building block on top of which data frames and data sets are built. Because we also love how the Catalyst optimizer makes our life much easier to join them. For example, you get the events based on IDs of the entities, and all what you need to do is load those entities in from Solr, load those events from HBase, do a join, and select this from you know the drill. But it's so simple. So with that, I'm going to start with the highlights from the Flipp data products. And again, might be surprising. So the first one is readership regression. This is how many engagements to expect from a geographic area in a particular day in the future. And regression is in the name. So you might be thinking, oh, linear regression, anything like that. But when you look at this problem and think about it, there's seasonal effects. There's always a big spike in around Christmas time and the fourth quarter. There's weekly seasonals, like people go shopping mostly on Saturdays, Sundays, and some other day of the week. There are trends, like our Flipp data is constantly increasing, happily. So when you think about regression, in this case, you'll find that you need to do a whole lot of time series analysis before you start doing the regression. And you need to fold the weeks, you need to fold the data week over week. And that's what the actual model that we have does. It's a lot of time series analysis. And then, yes, there is a regression just to do the weights, find the weights of the different features of what week it is it a holiday or not, things like that. So that's something that's a little bit different from when you get your data as a data set that already has, was this a holiday? Was what week of year was this? All these things, and you are you're given the raw events and the raw data to do the regression. The second one is product categorization, and this is a very dear topic to me. What is a product category? So I really want to make this a little bit more interactive, so I'm going to try my luck. What is, let's say, I'm trying to get to think of something that's a little bit tricky, but let's try an iPod, even though it's a little bit old, but it's a good example. What? Any idea? Any suggestions what an iPod might be categorized as?
So
Go.
just a question in terms of these categories on the screen.
Well, what would you categorize the iPod? Not here. I mean, if you want to use this, you're free. Like, well, it's okay. So in terms of those categories, I'd say it goes into a self-esteem thing, like those level. But I was hoping to hear something more like, oh, an iPod is an electronics device, and this is something that a lot of people have learned, is to categorize things according to where they would fall in the catalog, or where will they put them in a website. But those are categories that are useful only to browse. But when you try to reason about shoppers' behaviors, those are humans. Those are not people who, like you're not reasoning about like how to lay out the store, which is something that you might be doing, but that's not always the case. So you have to understand that an iPod might mean a lot more than that it's an electronic device. It's something that people might see as it's something that has to do with self-esteem and confidence and achievement. And if it's an iPod Nano, which is very popular for runners, it's also for like self-actualization. I use it for running, and so you start to realize, oh, then I should put the iPod in the same category with running shorts and running sneakers. Oh, that's totally surprising. And for us, what we ended up building is some semi-supervised learning graph algorithm called tag label propagation, which basically does some sort of clustering and then uses a small seed of labels to propagate to neighborhoods, and you end up with a lot of weighted tags on the products. So it was amazing to like finally arrive at this surprising solution after spending like the first few iterations doing the normal like SVM classification, which is still used for some other some other things. And the last model I want to talk about is some of the personalization models we have. So any personalization model is basically a relevancy ranking algorithm. So given a list of products or flyers or merchants or anything, how do I sort them in terms of relevancy to myself? How do I sort them in terms of relevancy to Jake? How do I sort, like, what is the relevancy ranking? And just by thinking of it like that, well, you can always use ALS for this, but then there is a big challenge here. Merchants are long-lived entities. Flyers are not. Products might be long-lived entities, but they're not always so. So there's very little data for things to use ALS, which is the textbook example solution for relevancy ranking or recommendation systems. And you start to realize that, oh, I have to be more creative than this. And this topic is very close to what I did my master's in, like in information retrieval. So it's something that I love to think more about. And whenever I get to a solution, there might be a better one. And this is one of the problems where you can't actually know the ground truth. So you keep doing the experiments, like Ashwin was saying, like A/B testing. That's the only way to know how well am I doing, because I might think, oh yeah, that's a good sorting, but might not, like, you can't. There is no definition of a ground truth. So that's it. That's what we do at Flipp, and so much fun. And I hope that I have given you a gist of what we do. Do you have any time for questions for the three of us, or have we?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
All right. So please, guys, questions. Yes?
What's the monetization model for Flipp?
Meyers is going to take that.
Guys, could you just repeat the
Yeah, so the question was about the monetization model. So it's sorry. It's actually pretty straightforward. So everything's based on cost per engagement. And the approach that we took when we first, like the biggest thing was getting content in the early days. So the hosted solutions that I talked about with Walmart, Kroger, we actually provide that for free. Where we make our money is actually when we distribute the flyer, so on the Flipp app, our distribution network, and we'll charge basically a fee every time somebody reads a flyer. So. Other questions? You guys want to get hacking? Yep.
Yeah, you're actively, I think I got from the whole presentation from the three of you, somewhat of a gist that I seem to have gotten is that you're expanding, and with this expansion, are you also looking to acquire new talent as well? Is that
Yes. Yes. Very much so. Yes.
It's just because the company sounds a little too good to be true. I just want to say. I don't know.
Well, there's others here that you can talk to, but
Okay.
that's what we do.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I have a question with regards to your technology stack on one of the slides that you showed up. You use solar for your sorry, it was entities?
Yes.
Yeah. What's underlying your solar? Is it a NoSQL database, or what are you using there?
So Solar is built on top of a full text index called Lucene. It's one of
So you're just storing everything in text files? Is that what you're saying?
it's not files anymore because it becomes a Lucene index, and the Lucene index, like the actual implementation of Lucene index, would turn every term into an ID. So if you anything that says this is a product will be like 1589, something like that, and
Yeah. Okay, I understand that.
Yes.
But I mean, like, you're building the Lucene index based on data. The data's got to be somewhere. Where is the data?
oh, okay. So the data, the digitized flyer, the coupon, all of those things start with in a SQL database, like a normal SQL database,
Right.
and where the actual digitization of those things happen, because flyers come to us as a very analog, not digital thing.
All right, no, I was just curious because I know with solar there's got to be something underneath it. The data's got to live somewhere. So
Yes, you're right. So yeah, the solar part is after. That's when we start working with the data for data products.
right. Okay, thanks.
No problem. Thank you. Okay, any other questions, or should I hand it over to Bert? All right. Thank you, guys.